example of this, that we often see that forest fires are there, which either done like in Uttarakhand or Nainital area, they are done just to remove the herbs or other things. It is done controlled fire. Sometimes they go beyond control. This is a photograph taken by me while going to Uttarakhand, Nainital on the way. So such kind of firing goes on till they go or enter into our area. Sometimes they go uncontrolled, and it is a very, very in a manner that there is no buffer or nothing. Even if buffer is there or it is written in the guideline or forest service code, it is not being followed. But what can we do, especially an example taken from outside, that here there was something. Here there was something that, oh, it is already 10:50. Yeah. So whatever row was there, they have burned. And then they started growing. They started growing after a week, after 2 weeks. And then you see that after 2 weeks, it has got the greenery. What a wonderful nature's omnious gift, that when it is burning everything, but the roots that which you have seen, they survive. Of course, the heat cannot go below. So they start again, they survive not on any water that you have to sprinkle. The root has got enough moisture, and they have got many other quality. The root has got enough moisture, and they start growing and greening. So when our fire officers or forest buffer that we have been looking for through the guidelines given in British era, and right now also we do not have any definition. We must go into relook into our nature's gift that which is they are available in the country itself. So we can make our lake and other things green also. This is that grass roots that which also clean the sludge here in the toilet that in the village area that when it goes through these roots, they get groundwater gets clean, the leachate that which is being consumed through the root, and they survive on this through phyto remediation. So there are many other things. RO reject water also can be treated by this whatever roots. There are many other applications, wastewater treatment and industries, chemical industrial sewerage, number of examples are there, and service water processing also can be done. So whatever has all this quality, it is a perennial and permanent, and it should exhibit xerophytic and hydrophytic characteristics, and it should be free from pest. There is no pest attack on this. So traditional medicine also being used, desert cooler we use. These days we have got many other substitute for that. Now geotextiles are being used. Dried roots for sanding clothes is also being used. And so like in this industrial waste, I just go quickly. Industrial waste you can see, which is being impounded here by vetiver grass. And it is of course not in our country. Example is from other country. Guangzhou in China, that in 1985, vetiver grass you see is planted over here, and you see that how green they become, because leachates, they come here, they are taken by this root while growing, and when you check that whatever the leachates coming over here, they are completely free from whatever toxic ingredients are there. So industrial effluent, and this kind of things also can be treated, or this kind of where we make lots of embankment, value embankment, or even our roads, they can be made just like this, no concrete riprap or anything, simply by the grass. It is a lifetime solution is being achieved, or such kind of in the hill area, if you want to live with the hill, the kind of landslides that we are creating by making 2-laning, 3-laning, 4-laning, and not all that we can afford to have the tunnels and other things. Even they also need a lot of maintenance. But simply by placing the vetiver grass over here, they can ensure. This is not only one example. There are millions of examples are there that which has redefined our way of living with the landslides in the hill area. Like this is in Guwahati, that you see without a landslide that how it is happening. And then with vetiver grass, in few months of time, that how they have grown over here. And you see the before and after. And also any kind of soil they can grow. So any kind, and this is just a dressing has been made and vetiver has gone. So even we can store water using this flexible membrane. I would like to say we can store water, because another problem is having drinking water in the hilly area. So we can use the geomembrane here, which civil engineers, they are familiar with. This is a third wonder material that our industry has ever created after cement and steel. The geomembrane is being used, whether it is this chair or anything, or computer outside box, and everything made of geosynthetics or polymer or byproducts. And they are being used as a membrane. We can store from 1,000 liter, like water tanks are there, which are customized, but per liter or 1,000 liter is costing minimum 4,000 rupees. Whereas if you use 6 meters square of this one, it will not cost even 300 rupees. So from 4,000 to 300 to 5,000 rupees, we can make a flexible membrane, a hold all kind of things, or even up to 10 lakh liter, 20 lakh liter, we can use. We are now using these things as a substitute for even storing water by a dam, because dam has become a controversial. We cannot have dam now more because of the environmental and many other issues. But these are used as a substitute to store water in the hilly area, hilly terrain. So anyway, it is even in hilly area, we can store water in this manner also. Or this way also. These are some of the application of geomembrane or pond that we can make. And there are many such applications in the hilly area that we can live happily. If water is there, landslide can be tamed, and then yes, life can be more easier. Or even canal lining, something like this can be done. So I would like to end here. This is being grown in my home. And also there are many other applications of the geosynthetics products to stop water from entering into our own area. So these are all geosynthetics, different products are there which can stop water entering and soak water. If we live like here in this, like in Shillong, or in this area in Aizawl, or even in Shillong like this, then we cannot make our hills really resilient. So storage of these things, as I said, or the Tehri Dam that we are making in this way, we need to find out some substitute, because we can no longer make dams now. Even stemming hills like this with the horizontal inclined pipeline, as it is shown over here, can make our hills more safer from landslides. Or otherwise, if we go such kind of treatment, yes, it needs a heavy amount of investment. This is, you can say, hill surgery. Okay, so I would like to end here. There are some things are there, the early warning systems and other things are there. This in Himachal Pradesh. So if we want to live happily in the hills, I would say that let us promote this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Chandan Ghosh sir, for taking time for from your busy schedule. I know you're muting the schedule today. So sir, मैं हिंदी में भी बोल सकता हूँ कि मैं जानता हूँ सर आप 4 भाषाएं लगभग जानते हैं, एक जापान और बांग्ला, हिंदी और इंग्लिश। तो
और एक दो जानते हैं लेकिन बोला नहीं जाता है।
अच्छा,
भाषा भी अलग है, वो बिल्कुल लिखा नहीं जाता है।
ओके ओके ओके। तो सर ये कहना चाहूंगा कि जो माउंटेन, एक कहावत है कि माउंटेन्स आर द बिगिनिंग एंड एंड ऑफ द सीनरीज। तो जब बच्चे भी कभी बनाते तो एक माउंटेन बनाते, एक मकान उसमें बना दिया करते हैं। लेकिन अभी रेजिलियंस के बारे में जो बात उठी है, जो आपने जो प्रेजेंटेशन अभी दी, रेजिलिएंट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इन हिल stations, and you shared a very good knowledge sir. So this is the add-on on this, that basic dimension that is a requirement of everyone, especially a country like India where a lots of people are living in the hill area. This is a very pertinent issue. And you stress up, and I one thing I would like to add personally, that I know that I have observed you in many lectures. I get the chance opportunity to hear you, And I know that you go for the nature-based solution, whether it's a use of the vetiver grass and similar type of technology that can be used for various purposes for water contamination treatment and this resistant purpose. And it was great to see a 500 years old structure that was earthquake resistant. And sir, these things are really in unopened knowledge that still need to be explored a lot and documented in our conventional civil engineering documents like IS code, etc. As you know that they are lacking in that. We should draw inspiration and techniques from these structures that are based on the proven knowledge that exists in the society, or we can knowledge or proven wisdom. So thank you, sir, for you wonderfully explained about the and shown great case study from the Mizoram, where we should go for looking to the natural solution again. And mapping is there, but yes, action on the basis of that mapping is still a limited thing. So we have to go for that. We all like collectivity as a civil engineering professionals, we should go for a deep study and implement in our documentation. Thank you, sir, for this wonderful session. And yes, we also see your application, and I know that you also working on the vetiver grass a lot. So again, it was great to see this. Actually, sir, from our end at university, we also tried to work on the vetiver grass, and I have the conversation regarding this with you. So unfortunately, due to the lockdown again imposed, and our vetiver grass plant got destroyed during that course. So we could not move for that. Still, I have this vetiver grass. Still, it is there. It is in my cabin. So very soon we will try to engage our student community, student, as you say, that academy and students should engage in these projects. So this sensitization should be there. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Namaskar, sir.
Thank you.
So after this sensitizing address on resident infrastructure in hill areas, I would like to now go for the second lecture of this technical session. And the second session is delivered by none other than my colleague from INVERTIS University, Shri Ankit Kumarji, Assistant Professor from Department of Civil Engineering. And he's going to talk on a very pertinent issue that is regarding the green buildings. As we all talk about the green buildings, green technology, green revolution, etc. So this is based on his session is going to based on green buildings for climate change risk reduction. Ankit sir is itself have a environmental engineering background, and he published many papers in that, and also working actively in Department of Civil Engineering and guiding a student regarding that also. So I would like to invite Ankit sir, please. Ankit sir.
Yes, sir.
Over to you.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for having me in this 3-day FDP-COM workshop training. So I guess my slides are visible.
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay. So today the topic that I will be sharing is green building for climate change and risk reduction. Since we all know that our environment is disturbed a lot these days. Are the slides changing? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Manish. So as we know that the environment is quite disturbed just because of environmental changes in environment. We are facing a lot of disaster in our day-to-day life. So in this presentation, in starting, I'll be dealing with some of the topics of disaster, and we'll try to correlate it with climate change, its causes, and then in the end, I will be carrying with my presentation of green building. So this is the content that I'm going through. The first is what is disaster, its types, and its linkage with climate change. What are the causes of climate change? a term I will be briefly discussing a term that is carbon footprint, which is a very burning topic in academic these days. And then about green building, its objective features, essential parameters of green building, and a comparison between conventional building versus green building, and rating systems and some other topics. So I would like to start where is disaster. So as we all know, disaster is an occurrence disturbing the natural conditions of existence and causing a level of suffering that exceeds the capacity of adjustment of the affected community. This definition is given by World Health Organization. And if you look at the image, I think it is self-explanatory. What is disaster? Disaster is something that creates a havoc situation in and around the region it occurs. For example, if we talk about forest fires that occurs in Uttarakhand region more frequently, flood that is prone to UP and Bihar and other states like Assam and also drought, that is one thing, and there are many other things that I will be discussing ahead. So one thing that if we talk about disaster is it hampers the daily life at the place it occurs. For example, we lose our financial losses we occur. There is a loss of financial. There is a loss of life, and there are sufferings that cannot be dealt very easily. We need time to re-establish ourselves, and so. So next is types of disaster. If we talk about disaster, disaster can be classified as anthropogenic or man-made, such as accidents, explosion, terrorism, and so. And other classification is natural disasters. So if we look at on the screen, it is like these are all the natural disasters that occurs: tornado, volcano, earthquake, tsunami, drought, avalanche, dust storm, forest fire, thunderstorm, snowstorm, hurricane, windstorm, hailstorm, flood, sandstorm, sinkhole. So all these disasters are now very familiar. Earlier, it was like very rarely these events used to occur. But as the climate is changing, the frequency of these events has accelerated a lot. So in this slide is about climate change and disaster. I would like to just give a brief linkage between climate change and disaster. We all are aware of Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Recently, they gave assessment report, sixth assessment report, in which they warned us the target that was of 1.5 degrees centigrade rise in temperature that was to be completed in 21st century will now be occurring in by 2040, which is an alarming situation. If we talk about our ambitions, we are looking at we are planning or we are setting goals that we will be reducing our emissions. We will be monitoring our carbon emissions or all the environmental aspects. But ultimately, the results or the application to all the planning that we are doing is not being planned in a proper way. And hence, this IPCC report is a really heart-wrenching report, because if it happens, there will be a global disaster in terms of heat waves, forest fires, you call it flood, melting of glaciers, or anything like that. With the rise in temperature of the planet, the world is witnessing more frequent disasters of greater magnitude. So, if I recall my childhood, I would rarely, hear about any disaster that was like simply rainfall and all these things. But as we are growing, we can easily witness the magnitude of these disasters have triggered with an enormous speed. Recently, these are all the disasters that you can see on the screen that occurred in 2020 and 2021. The first image is of forest fire that occurred in Australia. It was a massive coverage. We lost a lot of habitat, animals, and all these things. Second image, if you look, is the cyclone that hit the coastal region of West Bengal. Amphan cyclone, and recently, 2 or 3 days before it, Gulab cyclone hit Orissa. And so the magnitude is increasing. It's not like, okay, fine, the event occurred today, and then the return period will be delayed. The return period has reduced and the magnitude have increased profusely. Third image, if we look at, is the Assam flood that occurred in 2020. It caused a lot of devastation in that area. Many people had to dislocate themselves. They had to shift to some other places. They lost their source of income, their houses, and everything. And the last image that we see is the glacier outburst in Uttarakhand 2021, which triggered the flood in that region. And the image, if you can see, is the NTPC plant that was washed out in this disaster. So this disaster, if we talk about simply disaster, it is not just for a limited purpose. It happens and the effects are very prolonged. It keeps on, passing and passing. The lifestyle disturbed, the everything. If you talk about a community, it gets disturbed. So what are the causes of climate change? So there are various causes, and if we classify it, it can again be classified into anthropogenic causes, which is man-made, and natural causes, which is occurring naturally. So if we talk about anthropogenic causes, these are emission of greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases is one of the main contributor to climate change. Coal mining, all the blasting operations and mining operations that triggers climate change. Deforestation is one again cause of climate change, and burning of fossil fuels, which again liberates greenhouse gases, depletion of natural resources, and so industrial processes. Many industries uses these fuels, burning of fuels, and their own processes that leads to some or the other emissions that causes climate change, and agricultural activities like use of fertilizers, pesticides, tilling action, and all these things. These are all the sources that anthropogenic sources that causes the climate change. If we look at the natural causes, these are very limited: volcanic eruption, earth orbital changes, solar variation. And one thing, if we carefully look, the Mother Nature has some, for sure, they have some natural causes that could affect the climate. But at the same time, there is one word that is called assimilation capacity of environment, which means that environment knows how to deal with all the pollutants it is emitting itself. The environment has the tendency to heal itself. For example, if we talk about air pollution, the dispersion action that takes place, that it reduces the concentration of environment due to it reduces the concentration of pollutants on the environment due to dispersion action. Similarly, if we talk about dilution, these are all the assimilation factors that reduces the natural causes of climate change. Coming to the next slide. Emission of greenhouse gases. So, amongst most of the anthropogenic causes, I will be highlighting two major causes that I personally feel is accelerating the climate change. The first is greenhouse gases. So, if we look at the annual greenhouse gas index, in 1990 it was 1, and now in 2020 it was 1.47, an increase of 47% in just 3 decades. In just 3 decades, the annual greenhouse gas index has increased to 45%. And again, if you look at the graph carefully, the blue region that is showing is the emission of carbon dioxide. The concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is increasing profusely. Carbon dioxide alone contributes 2/3 of the annual greenhouse gas index, and other gases, that is like methane, nitrogen oxide, also have some significant impacts on the annual greenhouse gas index, or the greenhouse gas, and the concentration of greenhouse gases has been increasing with a consistent rate. So second thing, that is the deforestation. First, we looked upon the emission of greenhouse gases. This is something that we are doing. We are producing more and more greenhouse gases. Another thing that we are doing in parallel is we are reducing the sources of carbon sequestration. At one place, we are emitting carbon, and on the other hand, we are reducing or in other words, we are eliminating the sources of carbon sequestration that could have, counteract the emissions But what is happening is we are profusely cutting the trees, and as a result, the carbon concentration is increasing because all the forest area is the major sector which is which is which is absorbing carbon from the atmosphere. All the trees intake carbon dioxide, they store the carbon, and which they store the carbon, and then this carbon is further converted into fossil fuels that we have been using for years. Even if we recently we had one incident at Bakswaha Forest MP, you might have heard about it. 2.15 lakhs of trees were ordered to be uh, cut down only for the extraction of diamonds from it. So this is something that we are ourselves harming our environment. We cannot restrict our carbon emissions since India is a developing country, or many countries that are developing countries, we are not able to restrict our carbon emissions. On the other hand, simultaneously, we are reducing all the sources that could potentially reduce our carbon sequestration, which is not possible. So one thing before coming to the main topic of green building is there is one term called carbon footprint. Every activities that we do regularly is contribute to some of the carbon emissions. This term was originated from ecological footprint, which means initially it was ecological footprint, and which means that the number of earth that would be required to meet the needs of human beings if the resources are being continued to be used in the same pattern. And later on, it was shifted to carbon footprint, which is an assessment of greenhouse gases emissions in terms of carbon dioxide equivalent. So it is nothing but a tool for energy and environment management. So if we want to work on climate change, or if we want to really contribute in reducing the effects of greenhouse gases, we should beforehand reduce the carbon footprints at individual level. So now coming to the main topic, green building. Green building is somewhere related to carbon footprint. These are the buildings that would potentially reduce your carbon footprint. And if I talk about the origin of green building, concept of original building, I don't think it is something.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you. We can hear, sir.
Okay.
I think there is a technical glitch there. So please, sir.
So you just lost
Go ahead.
my connection.
Meanwhile, I conducted a poll here with the participant, and many of our participants participated in that, and they also wish to know about the IGBC green rating system, sir.
Sure, sir. I will be covering it later on in the presentation.
So here I would like to tell the participant that IGBC rating system will be discussed soon during this presentation.
Yes, sir. So now coming to green building.
Wait a while.
So as per the definition of IGBC, as students are asking, Indian Green Building Council, as per the definition, a green building uses less energy, water, and natural resources, creates less waste, and is healthier for the people living inside compared to a standard building. So as per IGBC, this is the standard definition, and if we take a look at EPA definition by EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. It says the green building, also known as a sustainable building, is a structure that is designed, built, renovated, operated, or used in an ecological and resource efficient manner. So if we take a gist of both the definition, one thing that both the definition is focusing on is that we need to maintain sustainable development, which is the need for an art. Today, everything, any idea that we bring, it has to be sustainable. And so the concept of green building is sustainable. It reduces the energy consumption. It prevents our natural resources from being overexploited. It consumes less water and provide a healthy living for the occupants inside the building. So what are the objectives of green building? First is using energy, water, and other resources more efficient. So everything that we do from the planning phase to the finishing phase, along with the time of utilization, we need to ensure that we are using minimum energy, we are wasting minimum water, we are using it efficiently, and other resources. Protecting occupant health, that is again one thing, because uh, the occupants are the main consumers that will be using this building, and for sure no such thing should be used in the building that should have adverse effect on the occupants health. Third is incorporating design, construction, operation, and maintenance practices that significantly reduces or eliminates the negative impacts of development on environment and occupants. So this is somewhat similar to the above thing. That is, we need to reduce the negative impact. Yeah, it is not just that we are making it an efficient process, but on the other hand, we are harming our environment. We are cutting trees profusely just to provide us the better atmosphere. That cannot be sustainable development. And last is improving employee productivity. So one of the main agenda behind green building is providing an atmosphere in which the employee feels more friendly and the productivity will automatically increase. Next is it addresses energy efficiencies, greenhouse gas emissions, abatement, water conservation, waste avoidance, reuse and recycling, pollution prevention, enhanced biodiversity, reduce natural resources consumption, and productive and healthier environment. So one major thing that I was talking about is reducing the carbon footprint. So if this building is able to reduce the carbon footprint, then our goal of adopting green building is definitely a good solution. So in this type of building, it should make sure that it is reducing the greenhouse gases emission that is contributing to carbon footprint, as well as other resources like water and wood and all these things. Next is green building can be homes, office, schools, hospital, and other buildings. And yes, some people think that it is only possible for commercial buildings. No, it is not like that. It can be homes. Our personal home can be a green building. It can be an office, school, hospitals, or any building that is constructed by a civil engineer. So these are all the objectives of green building. Now, why do we actually require green building? So the this all the points that I have listed here is from the GIRA report. I will be talking about later. The first point is the construction sector possesses a major challenge to the environment. So as we all know that construction is something that will definitely contribute to the overall development of country. But at the same time, it has some challenge to the environment. As the construction pace is rising, the environment is deteriorating day by day. Globally, buildings are responsible for at least 40% of energy use. So even throughout their span, they will be using around 40% of energy, ultimately increasing the carbon footprint. Next is an element estimate 42% of global water consumption, since conventional structures requires a lot of water during its construction period and during the time of serviceability. Next is 50% of global consumption of raw water is consumed by building when taking into account the manufacture, construction, and operation period of building. So total raw material that is being used as we could say the resources, 50% of global consumption comes from the construction sector. And in addition, building activities contribute an estimate 50% of world's air pollution. This is again one big issue. 42% of greenhouse gases that is causing global warming. 50% of all water pollution, which fresh water is already very limited, and we are moreover polluting the fresh water. 48% of solid waste and 50% of all CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons, to the environment. So these are the things that pinches us to shift our construction methodology and adopt a green building system. So some of the salient features of green building are consideration of sustainability aspects in all phases of building design and planning. So one thing that as a civil engineer or as a person everyone should do is that from the planning phase, the day we start planning till the execution completion of project, we need to ensure that every work that we do is sustainable in nature. Second is use of healthy and environmental friendly building material and products. All the materials that we are using in building has to be environmental friendly. It is not like something you're using. For example, if you talk about the emulsions that we use painting of houses, that emits large amount of VOCs, which is unhealthy for an individual at home as well as for the natural habitat. Similarly, if we talk about concrete, it has been emitting large amount of heat, and so we need to ensure that healthy practices are adopted in the construction of green building. Use of efficient systems. Since we will be reducing our carbon footprint, so we need an efficient system that reduces the emissions of carbon or wastage and reduces the wastage. Next is use of construction and systems which are easy to maintain. Maintenance is again one thing that it's not like we have invested a lot in green building, and however, due course with passing of time, we are again investing and investing in maintenance of the structure. So we need to keep that in mind that it has to be environmental friendly, along with the maintenance of this building has to be very easy. And last is high aesthetics and design quality. We cannot compromise with the aesthetic. Aesthetics is one of the major factor in today's generation, for today's generation of everyone, that a building should be aesthetically pleasing. It should look good. And it should fulfill the desire of the person who really want to, be a part of that building, who will be working inside. So aesthetics plays a psychological role, and green buildings ensures that aesthetics are not compromised. These are some of the design considerations. So while designing a green building, there are a few points that we need to keep in mind. The first is the orientation of sun's path. It is essential to ensure that throughout the day we get the natural sunlight. For example, if you see at the image here, if you look at the image here, the orientation of sun is very important. In summer and in winters, the movement of earth keeps on changing, and so we need to ensure that in our building, the light, natural light is present throughout the day. Along with the presence of light inside the campus, it is also essential that all the solar panels that we will be using to reduce the consumption of electricity receives the maximum sunlight, and it harvests the maximum sunlight to provide the best possible energy for the consumption at during the late day. So this is again one aspect. Next is ventilation problem. Ventilation aspect. Ventilation aspect is we should ensure that the cross ventilation of the building is maintained. The windows are provided in such a way that the wind from northeast and the southwest, it can easily pass through the building, making sure that the temperature of the building is reduced. It is purified, because this is something like dissipation or is a dispersion of pollutants may also occur. On the left, if you see, this is again one conceptual drawing of green building. If we look carefully, we provide as much as greenery possible in the building. If you look here, there is a tree planted outside the building, and this tree ensures that direct sunlight should not enter the building. Since if the direct sunlight enters the building, it will result in increase in the temperature. So to counteract that, we will have to use some glazing material. Glasses will be using that emits or reflects back the heat and only allows the light to percolate inside the building. Other wastewater arrangement system should be provided in the building that I will discuss in later on. And rooftop plantation. Plantation is something that decreases the temperature. So rooftop plantation is a very common practice that is adopted in green building. It reduces the temperature. It is a good source of carbon sequestration, and along with it, it provides aesthetic beauty to the building. Now coming to the essential parameters of green building. So first is structural design efficiency. Next is energy efficiency, water efficiency, material efficiency, and waste and toxic reduction. So these are the parameters around which the concept of green building lies. So first is structural efficiency. It maintains intention. Its main intention is to minimize the total environmental impact associated with all life cycles. So when we talk about structural efficiency, all the materials, for example, if you are using concrete, more of concrete in a building, then it will not be a viable solution. So in this type of building, we prefer more of AAC bricks, that helps in reducing the temperature and all these aspects. Use of lumbers and all these things, timbers available, it can be preferred. Bamboo and all these things can be preferred. It has the largest impact on cost and performance of building. So cost of the building is highly dependent on the structural efficiency. If the structural efficiency is not proper, the cost of building will automatically be a problem due course of service. Next is energy efficiency. Energy for to maintain the energy efficiency, to increase the energy efficiency, we need to reduce the operating energy use. We need to reduce the dependency on conventional sources of energy, and we should empower the use of renewable sources like solar power, wind. It can be wind turbines and all. That has a minimum impact on the environment, as well as the cost incurred is also decreased, ensuring maximum natural light inside the building. And for this, as I said, that orientation of sun is kept in mind. Frequent windows are provided so that natural light is present inside the building throughout the day, and we are least dependent on other energy sources during the daytime. Only the air circulation, or we say conditioning system, is required to run during summers. Rest, it requires minimum energy during the daytime. For water efficiency, if you talk about, here reducing water consumption and protecting water quality is the key objective. In this type of building, we need to ensure that the water, fresh water especially, is not wasted. We will be what we'll be doing is we'll be employing some water treatment plant systems. We will be harvesting our natural water. Along with that, we'll be using our grey water for the irrigation purpose or for the flushing of toilets. Majority of grey water will not be discarded directly. It will be it will be used and later on sent to the water treatment plant, sorry, wastewater treatment plant. So conservation of rainwater is one important thing that we have to do in green building. Secondly, we need to make sure that reliability on or dependency on fresh water should be as minimum as much as possible. Next is material efficiency. So as I discussed earlier, materials are very essential for a building to be eco-friendly. If it is emitting heat and all these things, then it is not sustainable, it is not good. So in these type of cases, we use the majority of use is from bamboo. Bamboo is something that can be grown easily. It grows very rapidly, and so dependency on bamboo is very much. It also provides a medium for air ventilation, since it is hollow from inside. It helps as an insulating member. Apart from that, we try to reduce all those materials that can possess any type of risk to the environment or the occupant. We try to make sure that we are recycling we are using the most recycled materials, and so the material efficiency will be increased. Next is waste and toxic reduction. This is also again one important parameter. So the objective is to minimize the generation of waste and ensuring the 3 R's, that is reduce, and recycle of waste management. So any waste that is being generated in the campus should be ensured that these 3 R's are actively following on that particular waste. Apart from that, use of toxic material like POC emitting paint. So I mentioned that most of the immersion paint that we are using in our daily houses emits lots and lots of VOCs. That is very harmful for individuals' health as well as environment. So the paint that we'll be using will be something that restricts the emission of VOCs into the atmosphere. Employing treatment systems. So there are many treatment systems like waste management system. For example, solid waste can be managed inside the campus itself, wastewater treatment. So all these type of treatment systems has to be employed in the green building so that we minimize the generation of waste and ensure best effective solution within the campus itself. Now, this is the green building of ONGC Dehradun. This is the construction phase of this building. The construction phase of this building is quite similar to our conventional buildings, but planning and it is very different. This is the post-construction phase of this ONGC building at Dehradun. If you look at it, is full of light during the daytime. It has some windows on the roof. This is the first image shows the green building from outside, which is covered with green plantation throughout the roof. Waterproofing, proper waterproofing is done so that the water should not penetrate inside the building. Air vents are provided throughout the building so as to maintain proper ventilation. Light windows for proper lighting during the daytime, which can be seen in this image clearly that in daytime there is minimum requirement of artificial lighting inside the campus. However, in night time, the energy harvested in the solar panels are used inside the campus. And if you look at the third image down here, this is the image during the night time. So all the lighting that you see are artificial lighting, but the pros is that this lighting is powered by solar powered batteries. So we have reduced so much of dependency on electricity from government sources also. So if we talk about conventional building versus green building, so if we talk about the aesthetic consideration or how it looks from outside, it is both of them looks same. Both of them are alike in manner. So externally, only green building is something that will be having more of plantation, which can definitely be done on near the conventional building also. Second is building use. So as per the utility of that building, so both the buildings are used for the same purposes. A green building can be used as an office, and a conventional building is being used as an office. So where the difference lies? Difference lies in the conservation of natural resources. In green building, it is ensured that the natural resources are conserved. Whereas in conventional building, we are not working more on reducing the natural resources, use of natural resources. The second is concern for human comfort and indoor environment. The quality of air inside, the comfortableness of indoor quality is better in green building than the conventional building. And the operating savings. For sure, if we are investing a lot of money in green building, we need to ensure that in long term, it should provide us some sort of savings or the other. Now, green building rating system in India. So if we talk about India, there are two commonly adopted rating systems. First is green rating for integrated habitat assessment. It is basically given by TERI, the Energy and Resource Institute. It is known as GRIHA. And second is leadership in energy and environmental design lead, that is given by IGBC. So these are the two rating agencies that audits the green building and provides their certification, the grading they provide to the green buildings in our country. So this is the rating system of GRIHA rating system and LEED rating system. GRIHA is based on the stars. It provides the number of stars a green building has. So it is based on the 100 point base points, and similarly LEED is also based on 100 base points, and accordingly they are evaluated. The parameters are checked. The key parameters that are checked are sustainability aspects. A building has to be sustainable. Energy efficiency, what kind of efficiency the building is giving, providing water efficiency, what kind of reduction in water and use of fresh water and eliminating the generation of wastewater. That is considered. Then material selection, what is the material used in the building? Is it recycled or is it fresh? And so on. And last is indoor air quality. So these are 5 basic parameters on which both of these assess a building and provides suitable gradation. So if we talk about the existing green buildings in India, there are several. I will be going to only 2 or 3 buildings. So first is Suzlon One Earth. It is in Pune. It is rated platinum by LEED. It is 100% powered by on-site and off-site renewable resources. So this is something that uses its own energy. It is not dependent on any other source. It is generating on energy, or generating in terms of harvesting the energy of renewable sources and utilizing it in working of the uh, structure. So it has 18 wind turbines in the campus that fulfills 7% of energy demand. So inside the campus itself, they have wind turbine. Along with that, offsite they have their own set of turbine plant which fulfills the remaining energy demand of this building. Second is Rajiv Gandhi International Airport. So my main motive to show is that it is not restricted to only commercial buildings or something. If you look at this building, this is an airport located in Hyderabad, Rajiv Gandhi International Airport. So within the campus of the airport, there is a green belt of 273 hectares with numerous plants. So establishment of green belt helps in reducing the carbon footprints. It provides more fresh air, and the type of plantation, phytoremediation is also adopted to improve the air quality of the surroundings. It has been successful in saving energy for nearly 3.97 billion kilowatt and has reduced the carbon footprint by 3,331 tons. This data is fairly old. So in today actual, the carbon footprint that they have reduced will be much, much, much more. And it has been rated silver by the rating. So this is another building. And now this is the Infosys building situated in Mysore. It is a 5-story building that is based on complete sustainable development. The smart mechanism and efficient equipment leads to 40% of less energy consumption. So if you look at this building, it is so pleasing aesthetically that you cannot say there is any parameter that this building will not fulfill if we look into the aesthetics itself. This building is aesthetically beautiful. Along with that, it is a energy efficient building. It is reducing 40% of less consumption, and it is being rated platinum by LEED rating. So what are the benefits of employing or adopting green building? So there are some tangible benefits. If we talk about it, is operational savings. So the green building consume at least 30 to 50% of less energy and 20 to 30% of less water than conventional building. So if we look at if we compare both the buildings, so this is entering very less energy, it is utilizing very less energy and also reducing the wastewater generation. If we do cost benefit analysis, this comes at an incremental cost of about 5 to 8% than the conventional building. For sure, the initial investment is slightly higher. The incremental cost gets paid back in 3 to 5 years time by the operational saving. So if we look or we compare both the buildings, although the initial cost is high, but over a period of time, over the period of service it is providing, the all the incurred cost, extra incurred cost of 5 to 8% is easily recovered in 3 to 5 years. And after that, you are simply enjoying the benefits of green building. You are paying less cost for energy consumption, and you are contribution to the environment is phenomenal. So this is one benefit experience in green building. If you look at, there are 3 buildings, Wipro, ITC, and CCI Godrej GBC. The square feet area is 1,75,000, 1,70,000, and 20,000 respectively. If these buildings were built as per the conventional methodology, it would have been consuming around 48 lakh kilowatts of energy, 35 lakhs, and 3,50,000 of kilowatts of energy. But since being the green building, now they are consuming around 31 lakh, which is reduction of 40%. Similarly, 20 lakh, which is a reduction of 45%, and 1 lakh 30,000, which is a reduction of 63%. So annual saving, if you look, there is a huge annual saving, 102 lakhs, more than a crore, 90 lakh, and 9 lakh. So over a period of time, these building proves to be extremely beneficial. If we simply, if we are ready to take the initial cost, after few time we will easily be able to, recover all the investment that we made early, and we will be, in fact, lowering our expenses on all these expenses of electricity and so. There are some of the intangible benefits that are enhanced air quality. For sure, the air quality increases, the pollution level decreases, excellent daylighting. You will be using all the daylights instead of using artificial light throughout the crop. You will be using only the natural lighting throughout the day, and during the night time you will be using artificial lighting, that too from a renewable energy source like solar and wind turbine. Next is improve health, well-being, and productivity of the occupants. So if you are breathing in fresh air, definitely your health will remain good, and you will be, the productivity of your work will definitely increase. Conservation of scarce natural resources. The natural resources will definitely, will not be overexploited. You will be using it properly to ensure sustainable development. Reduced impact on environment. All the adverse impact that is being associated with conventional buildings is eliminated in green buildings, or we may say it is reduced to a significant level. Last is enhanced marketability for the project. For sure, if you have a green building in and around your city, it is of great significance. So the market value of that building automatically increases. This is again one cost benefit analysis. So in the first column, if you see, these are all the green buildings, the year of awarded completion, and their lead rating, that is platinum, platinum, gold, platinum, platinum. So and the initial extra cost that it were incurred. So in first project it was 18%, 15%, 8%, 6%, 8%, 2%. But see the payback years. After 7 years, this building CCI Godrej will be able to, collect all its extra investment that they incurred in the initial phase, and they will be enjoying their freedom now. So these are all the different buildings and their cost benefit analysis. 7 years, 6 years, these are all the payback years that one day your building will definitely pay you back. So if you summarize, what are the benefits of green buildings? Lower energy consumption, lower CO2 emission. Definitely, we are contributing less carbon footprint. We are using less fresh water, and we are generating less solid waste. And all these things are managed within the building itself. Even the waste that is generating is being managed. The waste water is managed, and all these things are managed within the building itself. So if I would like to draw a conclusion. So the conclusion is green building reduces the carbon footprint, which results in the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions and concentration in the atmosphere. So green buildings will reduce your carbon footprint, which will ultimately result in the reduction of greenhouse gases, which is a reason for disasters in our world. Next is green building helps in reducing the stress on natural resources and contributing in sustainable development. So all the natural resources are not stressed anymore. You will not be over exploiting. They will be there for years, and next generation will also be able to witness all the natural resources that are existing today. Green building provides significant return on investment over a period of time. As we looked upon the cost benefit analysis, over a period of time, the building will definitely pay you back. And the last is green building ensures good quality of air in and around the campus of occupants, resulting in enhanced efficiency. So one thing that we all need to keep in mind is that we need to keep ourselves as a human being. We need to make sure that our health is good, because only after we are able to maintain our health, we will be able to work for the environment. So green building is something, if you're working inside a green building, your health will definitely be good. It will never be deteriorated. So thank you. This is all from my side for today.
Thank you, Ankit sir, for this wonderful presentation. I must say you covered lots of lots of dimension of the green building and how it is helpful to abate the emissions. And this is the need of the hour. And you discuss various rating system as well, and I also conducted a poll in between. So many people were demanded that they wanted to know about the IGBC rating system. You wonderfully explained this system, LEED and GRIHA, rating integrated habitat assessment system. So thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. And this topic was also additionally close to my heart because in 2012, I was going through a project that was about the residential design of a green building with the special of a green block with a special reference to the green context. And as we know that today we are dealing with the environmental threats at various levels. So as far as the green building is concerned, this from as far as data from 1970s to 2004-5, the energy consumption in building increases from 14% to 33%. That was the huge increase in 2004 to 5. Now we are living in 2021, and we have come up with a report that is known as the Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change Report, IPCC Report 6 assessment, and it is saying that now the global critical lines are coming closer. So जो टेम्परेचर राइज और 2100 में मतलब 2100 में प्रोडिक्ट था वो अब 2040 में होने की प्रोडिक्शन है. So it means that the sector that is contributing to the emission that needs to be very significantly addressed, and especially it is the responsibility of the young civil engineers and people who have the experience in the design development of the conventional buildings. So they should now go towards a new dimension, that is the green building. Thank you so much, sir. And your presentation was timely as well, because this finishes at 11:50 at the scheduled timing. It's a time for inviting Ms. Shruti Bansal ma'am. So I would like to go for the next technical talk that is going to be delivered by we are privileged to have Ms. Shruti Bansal ma'am, research fellow in NIDM on climate resilience in industries. I would like to invite ma'am for her presentation on climate resilience in industry. Ma'am, if you can hear my voice, so please. Hello. Michael, sir.
Hello.
Michael, sir, is ma'am connected with us? Shruti Bansal ma'am, third technical talk is scheduled.
Yes. Let me check. I don't think so. I don't think so. She has joined.
Okay, so please, if you coordinate with her so that we can have the third technical session. Meanwhile, I would like to discuss with participants and all the learned members, since we are gathered here for discussing the disaster resilient infrastructure and way forward for the 3 days. This is the second day of our discussion. I also conducted another poll in which I asked that is your building is a green building? So about 41% people are answered, 41% of people are answered for a no. And I'm surprised that 39% people asked for or answered yes, and 20% people gave the opinion that they wish to live in a green building but not know from where they can get assistance to go for this green buildings or like similar development. So whether it's a green building or resilient infrastructure development, earthquake retrofitting, earthquake or we can say flood proofing, flood resilient buildings. So everyone is agreed on the one fact that yeah, it should be there, but how we are going to get assistance from that? So एक मिस्त्री या फिर a normal layman is not able to incorporate all these changes to a conventional building. It is a fact that they are not trained for that. They have not the proper awareness about design philosophies and various type of technology that are ongoing in the world. So there is another type of challenge. So Ankit sir, I think this is another issue that needs to be focused if we wish to go for disaster resilient infrastructure or the green building like concept. I think that.
So these issues should definitely be addressed, and I think more and more research is also going on, and in parallel we need to make our contribution also, so that we achieve this goal more faster.
Right, sir. And Michael sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I think she's busy. She will not be able to join us.
So she will not be able to deliver the session right now.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. No issue. No issue. We can go ahead with, if you agree that I will go for a third session and I am going to move it forward. Michael sir, may I?
Or you want to deliver a lecture?
Right. Because third
Yeah.
session is a session.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
You can.
Okay. Anyway, so because ma'am is not available, Ms. Shruti Bansal ma'am is not available, who was going to deliver a talk on climate resilience in industries. So it is the time to discuss one very important initiative, Indian initiative, I must say. And yesterday I also asked in the chat
Excuse me,
box
sir.
that, please.
Sir, as we already discussed about the green building.
Right.
Sir, except the initial high cost, what are the drawbacks of the green building?
We will take the question, Manish, at the end of the session. So
Okay, sir.
Okay, so actually the green building is a concept that is adopted because we have some bad impact of the conventional building. It is again a remedial one.
Yes.
So actually we will discuss this later in the when we go for the questionnaire part. So we will take the flow continue. Okay, Manish. So let us discuss one very important aspect and initiative, because the title of our program is Disaster Resilient Infrastructure and Way Forward. So in 2021, we are on a point where we are discussing this thing, because we can see, and I'm quoting a report, and that is known as the human cost of natural disaster report. And this is a report launched on International Day of Disaster Risk Reduction in last year, and it was launched by UNDRR. It was an assessment of the UNDRR report, and it was basically an overview of the last 20 years from 2000 to 2019 period. So we observed that the frequency and the intensity of the natural disaster is going on the new levels now, and we can witness when this we can say century began. In 2000 we celebrate the millennium, and then 2001, 2, 3, 4 we have seen a lots of event, including the tsunami. That was the unprecedented situation that the world, especially the coastal population, faced. It impacted the 13 countries there. So as far as we could discuss this UN report of the human cost of disaster, it clearly indicating that the disasters are going at a far faster pace. Second thing, now IPCC 6th assessment report has already cleared that the critical lines are already shifted to the new new boundaries. So for that, what kind of the initiative were taken by the global community? I would like to deliver a presentation on that. And the question I asked yesterday in the chat box was, do you know the full form of CDRI? So answer I get, most of the people give me the right answer. That is the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, CDRI. So let's see in detail, because we get the chance to visit this CDRI in this area in this time. So let us see this. So here you can see, if Michael sir, if it is visible on the full screen mode. Hello.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Ankit sir. Okay, so CDRI is basically the coalition for disaster resilient infrastructure, and this presentation is basically going to cover the biodiversity and item number 5 of Honorable Prime Minister 10-point agendas items. So let's begin with this. So this I already explained in yesterday's session, that disaster management is not the work of one person, one state, or one district, we can say one nation. It is the collective responsibility of everyone. No one is safe until and unless everyone is not safe. For that, global community has adopted two frameworks. We can see 2005 to 15, and then 15 to 30, 2015 to 30. 2005 and 15, the Hago framework of action, and then Sendai framework of for disaster risk reduction, we can say. So now we are following the this framework at the global level, and India is also the signatory of that. Other than these two global resilience framework, we have the Sustainable Development Goal. 17 SDG goals are there. You can see in this picture, like the no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being. Out of these 17, 10 of these goals are focused on the disaster risk. Now, if we go ahead, so urban disaster, we can see now, as the urbanization is the global phenomena, many of the peoples are moving toward the urban cities, urban population, because they got the better employability opportunities there, and the living of standard is good. So because of these reasons, the urbanization is a global phenomenon. So with this movement or migration, or we can say urbanization tendency, we have also observed the increase in the urban disaster. So when urban disaster affects cities or urban area, they are referred to as urban disasters. For that, I have recently explained this Prime Minister 10-point agenda has the 10 items, and this is the National Disaster Authorities guidelines, November 2019. This is included it. You can go through with this. So NDMP 2019 chapter 1 preliminaries 1.6. These are the item in which this is the item in which this Prime Minister 10-point agenda is given a high importance. Now moving toward the CDRI. So how CDRI originated, how disaster resilient infrastructure become the need of everyone. So at G20 session, Prime Minister of India said the quality infrastructure invest and development cooperation. He spoke that disaster resilient infrastructure is required not only for development, but it is also necessary to combat the natural calamities. In this regard, I stress upon the need of international coalition in the G20 conference of the Buenos Aires. I invite the G20 countries to join this coalition and share their experience and expertise. Now, during this program, we have the participants from various countries as well. Like yesterday, I got to know that from one lady from the Philippines, and many parents from the Bangladesh, Nepal are also connected with us. So disaster resilient infrastructure call was made by the Indian Prime Minister at G20 session. And the effect of the call, this call result in the formation of CDRI, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. You can see on the left side the official logo of the CDRI initiative. It is CDRI, basically an international coalition of countries, United Nations agencies, multilateral development banks, the private sectors, and academic. Means holistic approaches followed in the achieving the disaster resilient infrastructure goals and aims. That these aims to promote the disaster resilient infrastructure at global level, not on the national one. It is not the issue of the India, or you can say Asia, etc. It is the issue of everyone. So its objective is to promote the research and knowledge sharing in the field of infrastructure risk management, standard, financing, and recovery mechanism. For example, Ankit sir in his lecture was discussing about the rating system that is made for designating the green buildings. So if in a rating system this score is achieved by a building, we will designate it a platinum score. Or if this score is some other lower score is going to get by a building, so we designate it as the gold. So platinum, gold, silver, these are the rating. But have you here anywhere that disaster resilient infrastructure has any rating? I think this is a lack on which the CDRI is actively working on. So this rating system development and other aspects are the work of the CDRI initiative. So Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi at 2019 UN Climate Action Summit launched it, and CDRI's initial focus शुरुआत में initially its focus is on developing disaster resilient in ecological, social and economic infrastructure. When we discuss about the infrastructure, the stereotype is set in the society that they think about the buildings, they think about the structure, bridges, roads. Yeah, that's okay, because infrastructure is taken in the society in this manner. But there is the ecological infrastructure exists, economic infrastructure, social infrastructure. So they are also the part of CDRI initiative in which it is going to cover on a broader scale. So it aims to achieve the substantial change in the member countries, policy frameworks and future infrastructure investment, along with the major decrease in the economic losses suffered due to the disasters. A person not only, a society not only lost its people's life in a disaster, but they also considerably lost the precious infrastructure. Whenever you just make a 2-story house or 1-story house, it will involve a investment of some amount of money. That money got vanished. So this is the thing that need to be understood, that life and property both are equally important, and this CDR initiative is basically taking care of both. Moving ahead, so CDRE, CDRE is a partnership of national government, union agencies, etc. So CDRE promotes the resilient infrastructure to respond to the sustainable development goals. We have seen a pandemic, and we have seen a situation where we have seen the people dead in our localities, in our families, in our state, in our countries. And that was a really a situation that was threatened the globe and all the continents. But you know that before that, the sustainable development goals, and today now SDG goal accomplishments is also a forefront challenge before the global community. Yeah, there was a setback due to the pandemic, but before that we are not in a very great position. So SDG goals need to be fulfilled, and this is important for the survival of the humanity. That imperative to the expanding the universal access to the basic services, enabling prosperity and decent work to everyone. We have to consider the people as a global citizen, not the citizen of a single country or not the citizen of any state. So in this way, CDRI promotes the SDGs. Now CDRI Indian initiative, we say it is a proud moment for every Indian that it is an initiative from India. So changing roles, and we can see this solutions. So that were discussed in the CDRI. So CDRI was proposed by India, and the Indian International Workshop on Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, IWDRI, was held in 2018-19. Where the National Disaster Management Authority of India, the apex body of disaster management in India, participated in partnership with UN Office of Disaster Risk Reduction, UNDRR, and UN Development Program, World Bank, and Global Commission on Adaptation. Then, due to the changed roles and emerging roles, we can see this 13th of August 2019, the Narendra Modi, Indian Prime Minister, proposed the CDRI, and which was approved by Union Cabinet on 28th August. And the government also pledged the financial surplus of 480 crores, about $67 million toward the CDRI corpus. Because you know that there is no work is possible without having a fund, having a financial assistance. Otherwise, everything is going to be just a lip service. That's why the huge corpus of about 480 crores was set up initially. So there are the we can now see in this slide. So CDRI launch in India. So how CDRI was launched? So it was designated as a transformative initiative by the Special Representative of the Secretary General for Disaster Risk Reduction, Mami Majoratory, she said the CDRI is a transformative initiative. And she adds that disaster resilient infrastructure on which today's 3-day FDP is also scheduled, that disaster resilient infrastructure is critical to significantly reduce the economic losses. She also mentioned that such recurring losses weaken poverty eradication and sustainable development goal efforts. So these are not only important for the life savings, but thus life improvement as well. For SDGs and poverty eradication is the need of every country. And the word critical has a great significance. Critical means that if we cross the line of criticality, so we'll reach in the position where the things are not in the control of us. So we can make the curd with the help of the milk, but we cannot make milk with the help of the curd. So situation become irreversible. Before that, we have to take these initiatives. And that is why about the critical term, there is a popular saying that critical is not the difference of X and Y, it is the difference of earth and sky. So so that the society or the human civilization not cross the limit or the criticality. So that's why this initiative is particularly significant. So at Indian government and UNDRR co-hosted the event called Resilient Infrastructure, key to the success of the 2030 agenda for sustainable development. Sustainable development's responsibility is due on the nations in the year 2030. That is why this type of initiative is going to add on or accelerate the efforts in which we by following which we can achieve the SDGs. So it is the official logo of that 2019 UN Climate Action Summit 2019. Now, again, I would like to mention the diplomatic significance as well. CDRI has a key significant diplomatic because CDRI is the second major coalition launched by India outside the United Nations. The first being the International Solar Alliance. After the International Solar Alliance is the second major coalition that was launched by India. So it has its own meaning. And India's attempt to obtain a global leadership role in the climate change matters and were termed as a part of India's stronger branding by the India's Minister of External Affairs, Subramaniam Jaishankar, at the 4th Ramanath Goenka lecture in November 2019. Since India has a long coastal boundary, 7,516 kilometers, 87,263 kilometer square area is there, and we have a long top geographical feature that are vulnerable to the one or multiple disaster. That's why India face almost all type of disaster, whether it's glacial lake outburst or GLOF, or we can say the flood is a regular phenomena here. Unfortunately, earthquake is also the Indian Himalaya region. Geographically, India is blessed with natural resources as well as the disasters. So, natural disasters and natural features, almost all the types, like you can find here the hills, you can find here the grounds, you can find here the coastal boundaries where there is a vulnerability of the tsunami as well. So India has a leadership position in experiencing this type of disaster. So that's why it's an initiative from Indian government to share the experience, share own experience, and get benefited from the benefit of the experience from the global community. Other than this, CDR is also provide a safer alternative to the China's Belt and Road Initiative BRI. However, BRI is an infrastructure creation and funding initiative, unlike CDRI, which is an international knowledge platform, but it is an action platform, we can say. So need for CDRI, why we need the CDRI strategic priorities, we can say a number of concrete initiatives were taken in the at the intersection of Sendai framework, sustainable development goals, and climate change adaptation, focus on the infrastructure. Now it is a systematic one. We can see the 3 strategic priorities here of that are the CDRI strategic priority. Number 1, the technical support and capacity building. This includes the disaster response and recovery support, innovation, institutional and community capacity building, assistance and standard certification, as I discussed in previous slide, like development of any rating system regarding that. Second, research and knowledge management. This includes the collaborative research and global flagship reports and global database of infrastructure and sector resilience. It is an important fact that research and knowledge management is very important in reducing the risk. Advocacy and partnership. So you cannot do it with this with the two hands. You need the more and more hands. For that, this includes the global events and initiative, marketplace of knowledge financing, implementation agencies, and dissemination of knowledge products. So these are the strategic priorities from the CDRI. Now we can see the three thematic area on which the CDRI works: governance and policy, risk identification, estimation, standard certification, capacity building, innovation, emerging technology, recovery, reconstruction, finance, community-based approaches. These are the thematic area on which the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure work. And here we can say beneficiaries: economically weaker section of the society, women and children. They are called the vulnerable among the vulnerable. So that is why impact of disaster is more on them. So that's why they will benefit from the improvement of knowledge and practice in creating disaster resilient infrastructure. So in India, northeastern and Himalayan regions are prone to earthquake, coastal regions are to cyclone and tsunamis, central peninsular region to drought. So this initiative will benefit them as well. This is a glimpse from the IWDRI 2019, where the NDM and UNICEF discuss various aspects, and it brought the globe together countries from different parts of the world for working on the disaster resilient infrastructure. These are some these are the member countries of CDRI. Now it is updated. I think it is 24 now. So this was updated in 16 March 2021. Now it is again updated, and the count is increased to 24 or plus. So it is a great sign that countries are joining hand for the disaster resilient infrastructure. Here this is the presentation on the on an interactive way on the global map. These red countries are the member countries of the CDRI. There is another aspect that, as I say, that without money or without fund, without financial support, it is impossible to carry forward these type of initiative. That's why a number of almost all the leading financial institutions like Asian Development Bank, World Bank, UNDP, UNDRR, ARISE, Coalition for Climate Resilience Investment, and European Unions are come forward to join hand for providing the financial aid to this initiative. CDRI programs, as we can see, this CDRI will develop a range of programs in the, this is the mandate of the CDRI, that CDRI will develop a range of programs in the coming years to engage institutions and individuals to promote innovation and great resilience. Current programs includes the CDRI fellowship program, number one. So this is information that can benefit the student community as a lot, because CDRI fellowship is a excellent opportunity for them as well. And the people, this is basically focused for encouraging the student, practitioner, and researcher and communities workers from the CDRI member countries to apply ideas on how to keep infrastructure resilient to climate and disaster risk. CDRI will award 31 year grants of US $10,000 each year. So you can go for the fellowship at CDRI World for more details. So this is information for the community worker, researcher, practitioner, and students. Second, we can see CDRI's Fellow 2021. So CDRI Fellowship result will announce for the 17 March 2021. Already this thing is been done. And you can go for some examples, like in Cyclone Fani. You can see this impact of inundation at this area where Cyclone Fani hits hard. And due to this, all the houses are below flood level. You can say flood is inundate all these regions, so infrastructure could not survive in this area. So these are the picture from there. Global study on disaster resilience on airport. This is also a study that was done by the CDRI. So global study on disaster of airport. If any disaster strike any country, so like in Nepal in 2015. So airports are the way where the people can reach for the rescue and relief in a fastest manner. So that's why disaster resilience of airport was also an important aspect there, where the CDRI go through. There you can see the assessment of fiscal risk due to the disaster-induced large damage in CDRA member countries. Here you can see flagship report on the disaster and climate resilient infrastructure. These are some work that are already done. Risk and resilience assessment of transport infrastructure. Disaster assessment of the digital infrastructure. Communication, by the way, considered as the first emergency support function as well. And when a communication disrupt during the disaster, it is considered as the opening of Pandora box of disasters, because if the communication is not going to work, then we cannot know the situation of the particular area, and we can not have the proper communication if we not have the proper communication with the outside the world. So it is very difficult to conduct the relief and rescue operations here. Now, this is another technical standard for disaster and climate resilient infrastructure, risk resilient and early warning system. Even Prime Minister 10-point agendas, item number 5 is also focus on involvement of technology in disaster risk reduction. So this is also addressing that as well. A small video I am presenting here. Please see this.
Is critical for people's well-being, quality. Of life and economic progress. Resilient infrastructure is critical for people's well-being, quality of life, and economic prospects, irrespective of where they live. Inadequate and poorly built infrastructure blocks economic and social development. Increasing exposure to earthquakes, floods, and tropical cyclones stresses infrastructure systems. 2/3 of total economic losses in disasters are associated with infrastructure damage. As extreme weather events become more frequent and intense due to climate change, these losses are set to rise. The impact on small island developing nations and least developed countries is particularly severe. Disaster and climate resilient infrastructure is essential to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals and to accelerate climate action. $94 trillion of global investment is needed to fill the infrastructure deficit by 2040. More infrastructure will be built in the next 20 years than in the last 200 years. Fortunately, achieving disaster and climate resilient infrastructure is not expensive. $1 invested in strengthened resilience generates $4 in avoided economic and social losses. The Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure is an international partnership that will support countries to build the disaster and climate resilient infrastructure they need. Championed by global leaders, CDRI will provide knowledge, technical support, and capacity development to those countries with the greatest infrastructure challenges. Join us to achieve the SDGs and accelerate climate action by making all new infrastructure disaster and climate resilient.
I hope you have understand what I aim to, and this you have seen some points and some figures that more construction or more infrastructure development occur in last 20 years than occur in last 200 years before. So obviously in the next 20 years, the infrastructure is going to prove infrastructure is going to increase in a higher pace. And if it is not resilient, so it will result to the huge losses. And you know that spaces in the cities and urban areas shrinking day by day. Now, horizontal development model is not going to work. So that's why we have to go for the vertical development model or the multi-story buildings. And imagine a situation if a earthquake strike on a building that is based on the vertical development in a city where the where many infrastructure is on the base of vertical development. So how much loss of life and property is possible there? And it is not the imagination, basically, it is the reality we have seen in the previous as per our previous experiences. So as they say that $1 investment in preparedness going to save $7 in the post disaster phase, and you know this it can generate the $4 if we save our infrastructure from the damage or disasters. Now just one second. So again, this was some situation. At last, this is the world where a unfortunate concept is going on, that first grow, then sustain. Many countries are following these models, including especially the developed countries. So you know, this we would one day realize that the only when the last tree has died and the last river been poisoned and the last fish being caught, then we will realize that we cannot eat money. So this is a popular proverb from the Cree Indian. Is a popular Cree Indian proverb. With this word, we have to think about first sustainability first, and then we can grow. If we adopt the reverse order of development, then it is going to result into the adverse impact on other society. Ultimately, our aim is a welfare society. So this type of approach should not be going toward the welfare society. That's why we need to incorporate these resilient infrastructure approaches and keep the social welfare above than the greed. With this word, I would like to sum up my presentation. Thank you so much for your patience in listening. Michael, sir, can you hear me?
Yes, Odeshji, thank you so much for
Okay, so
yet again, yes, for another presentation. Thank you so much. So let's proceed with this thing next.
Okay.
Because
So,
we are, I think,
today we can Professor Chandal Ghosh sir is not here, but let's since we have the time 12:26, so we have 4 to 5 minutes, so we can go for a small question and answer session. Is Ankit sir is connected here? Ankit sir, are you connected? Have you connected? Yes. So let's take a small question and answer session. So if you can unmute yourself if you wish to answer questions, please. Let's take the Manish question because it was asked in the beginning of my presentation. So he was asking that, is there any bad, or drawback or some kind of demerits of green building? And Ankit sir, I would request you to please answer this question.
So as you mentioned that apart from cost, is there any demerit? So even I would like to clarify that it is also not a demerit. More cost is also not a demerit, because instead of investing continuously over a building, if you invest at the initial point and after that, as I mentioned, that the building will pay you back. So this is not a negative point. Yeah, for sure, it requires slightly more capital as compared to conventional building, but over a period of time, you will definitely enjoy the benefits of it. And apart from that, there is no such any benefit or adverse effect on the environment as well of green building. It is definitely best solution, I would say, if you really want to tackle our carbon footprints and adverse impact, if you want to reduce adverse impact on the environment. So there is no negative point about green building, and each and everything is designed in such a way that it turns out to be the best possible solution for household or infrastructure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Is there any other question you wish to ask? And if is there any question from Professor Chandan Ghosh sir is actually busy in a meeting, so you can ask the question for Chandra Ghosh sir also. We will forward the question to sir, and we will sure that in third day we have the just tomorrow scheduled session also. So we will post that session, post that answer. Please. Hello. So, Michael sir, I think this is the time so that we can end the show. At day 2 session was very good, and it was very fruitful and began with, especially with a very senior and very experienced Professor Chandan Ghosh sir, head Resilient Infrastructure Division, who deliver his session on urban infrastructure, on resilience infrastructure in especially in the hill areas. So it was a dimension that is needed in our country, especially because if we see that from Indian Himalaya region, many states are belong especially from the Himalaya, and not only Indian state, we have the Nepal, and many part of the world also have the hills areas. So that's why infrastructure development in those areas become a key challenge. Sir discussed the indigenous and solutions, and he identified a very important area for the civil engineering professional. That he said that the many constructions are there, many infrastructure are there that are the excellent example of resilient infrastructure and standing in the world from last 500 to that 500 years or more. But their techniques we can adopt in our, and we can update our codes and our document, so that we can draw the inspiration from those structure and go for a resilient society with by taking the example from there, inspiration from there. और ये बात मैं मेरा डोमेन सिविल इंजीनियरिंग से है, और मैंने भी इस चीज को ऑब्जर्व किया है कि यूजुअली इन वेरियस अर्थक्वेक्स वी कैन सी द एंशिएंट स्ट्रक्चर्स, दे सर्वाइव, and means they have a great knowledge of this resilient infrastructure concept. Second lecture was delivered by my colleague and very bright Shri Ankit Kumar sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, and he spoke in length or breadth on green buildings for climate change risk reduction. So as we know that climate-based disasters are increasing in the world. And other than the climate-based disaster, we can see due to the global carbon emissions. So now the situation is the glaciers melting and different types of catastrophes are coming to picture, not only in India but all the corners of the world. So this is going to be deal with a serious note. So since buildings energy consumption in building is considerably increased from 1970s to 2004 to 5, and now this 2021 is we can see the a great increase in the energy consumption by the building sector. That's why the resilient infrastructure, or you can say the green building concept, is very important to adopt that. And third lecture was recently, unfortunately, we could not get the opportunity to hear the Ms. Shruti Bansal Madam, Research Associate from NIDM. So I delivered this lecture on CDRI initiative. So Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure is something that is the need of the hour today. So here I comprehensively discuss what is CDRI, how member country, what are its objective, what its aim, and what type of funds settled in there, what are the opportunity for the student, researcher, and the community people in the CDRI. So this was the summarization of today's day 2 of day 2. So with these words, I would like to sum up this presentation and thanks the National Institute of Disaster Management, and we can say INVERTIS universities, dignitaries, and all the participants, learned persons who are joined today in today's session. And we will meet tomorrow sharp at 10:30 at final day of this 3-day program, 3-day FDP come training program, with the same spirit, same enthusiasm. And tomorrow we will get the opportunity to hear Sri Ashish Kumar Panda sir, Central Secretariat Service Officer, on urban heat Iceland, a very emerging topic. And Miss Atisha Sood madam from research, she is a research fellow at NIDM, and she is going to deliver his presentation on the hospital infrastructure protection and disaster management plan. Then we will have very senior Professor Girish Mishra sir, Assistant Dean and School of Sciences, OP Jindal University, Raigad. He is going to deliver his session on community-based approaches in disaster-resilient infrastructure. So with these words, we will meet tomorrow at 10:30 sharp. Thank you so much. हाँ वसुदेवन जी, नमस्कार वसुदेवन जी.
Namaskar ji. If you allow me 2 minutes, I can share my view also today's program.
Oh, sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Thank
Please.
you so much, sir. And good afternoon, one and all.
But before that, let me introduce you. So we
Sir.
have the Vasudevan sir. He is the director IIDM Tamil Nadu, very active in working at that region and the adjoining states. And it's a great opportunity today for the participant to hear, sir. Please, Vasudevan ji.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I'm watching, sir. I'm attending your program since last 2 days. Though I'm not feeling well, I'm not able to go to my work, but from house I'm watching. But today's both the presenters are very excellent, sir. Very excellent presentation, and we come to know quite a lot of green building concept. And only thing I would like to know about, is there any policy level or planning level to the certain concerned states or districts adopting these things when we are going for a blueprint approval or registration of our building? Is there any mandatory to supposed to make this kind of adaptation in the things and all? If both the presenter can explain tomorrow also, not today immediately, because it is in my mind. Because if it is a mandatory to follow by everyone to against the climate change and global warming and reducing all these things, I think it will be a better initiation through our webinars. It is a very good webinar, and we are blooming. Everyone is happy now. Even some of the participants from Tamil Nadu also, they are attending, and it is very, very good webinars. Thanks for NIDM. And thanks for our particularly Sri Avdesh sir. You are conducting such a wonderful, important, very important. This is a timely, but now we are going to face our northeast monsoon in Tamil Nadu. Now we are doing all the preparedness activities here and there. So this is one of thing in my mind which I wanted to share. That's all, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Right, sir. Thank you, Vasudevan ji, for your wonderful suggestion. And one thing I would like to say that in fact, the green technologies, including green building, or said the this is as far as the policies and these things are considered, the situation is unfortunately like the earthquake retrofitting. We know that we have the dedicated codal provision for developing for designing the earthquake resistant structure. But that when we go in the normal public, or we go for the normal construction, masonry construction or whatever it is, so we can see that there is a great challenge of awareness there. So despite that the codal provisions are there, we have the resilient infrastructure techniques, tools are there, but since the word is costly is associated with all these things, this is considered as why do we go for the green building? Why do we go for the earthquake retrofit building? Because because earthquake going to strike at our house on 20 to 30 year, or maybe not. So they can also not say that it may be strike on the next second.
Yes, sir. Agree, sir.
And as far as the Indian perspective is concerned, so we have entire National Action Plan for Climate Change, NAPCC. So there we are approaching toward National Mission for Sustainable Habitat, Enhanced Energy Efficiency. So you cannot go for the national mission for enhanced energy efficiency until and unless you are not targeting toward the so
I think there is some technical issue, sir. The audio is not very clear.
hello.
Yes, sir. Now you are audible, sir.
Okay, sir, I got disconnected due to some technical glitch. Thank you so much, sir. With these words, I would like to end this day too, and we will
Thank
meet
you,
at
thank you, sir.
10:30. Thank you
Have a
all.
good day to everyone. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. We can see lots of participants still connected here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So
Thank you so
platform
much,
is,
sir.
thank you. So platform is open for a while, and for certificate purpose, I again and again telling the process that you have to register on training.nidm.gov. I am once again sharing its link on the chat box so that no other participant is face the problem of not getting the certificate.
Sir, actually, I had already registered, and we will get the certificate in our Gmail.
Yeah. On your registered mail ID.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So this you can see this training.nidm.gov link is available in the chat box. Please do register and enroll the program of INVERTIS University so that you can get the certificate. I'm again saying that because after the program is over, you are not able to register on this link. It automatically got deactivated. Thank you, Michael, sir.
Thank you so much, Audrey, for
Yes.
yet again for another wonderful day of training and sharing of information. So thank you to all the participants and then the experts who have joined today. And we look forward to the final day of the training program tomorrow. Stay safe and take care. See you all tomorrow.
Okay.
It's over
Thank
from
you.
my side.
Thank you, sir. So you can leave all. I'm just